Welcome to the CrossFit Canada podcast, telling the stories of mostly Canadian affiliate owners and coaches. But as we'll talk about, that's not always a hard and fast rule. But we are brought to you by Affiliate VA Services, offering you cost-effective member success agents to handle all your admin tasks. Now, today's guest, Paul Markhauser, let's get it right out of the way, not an affiliate owner, but a gym owner and a PushPress employee. So you've got your finger on the pulse of more affiliates than we can probably count. So how we kick it off, introduce yourself. What's your gym? Because you are still a gym owner. Where is it? And then we always do question of the day. Let's go favorite place your PushPress career has taken you.
Good question. Okay, I'll end with that one.
Yeah.
So just to introduce myself a little bit, my name is Paul Markhauser. I run a gym just outside of Chelsea, Quebec, with my brother and my sister. If anybody doesn't know where Chelsea, Quebec is, if you're in Ottawa, you go north to Gatineau, and a little bit past Gatineau on the Quebec side is a little town called Chelsea, Quebec. We've been a growing community, but I was born and raised there. And we run a gym. My brother, my sister, and myself. My brother, has been to the CrossFit Games and competed on the team level for 3 years. He was the original doing CrossFit, and we kind of all gotten into it from him doing it. And we've trained at different gyms around Ottawa and personally around the world. So really in the ecosystem of CrossFit. But as we opened up this gym, we took a different approach to the way that we were going to open it, and we could talk a little bit about that. But we do offer yoga, Pilates, strength and conditioning, glute and ab focused classes as well. Working at PushPress, that kind of got me into the world of working at PushPress. When we opened up the gym, I was using a different software, was unhappy with them, and I actually went to the CrossFit Games and watched my brother compete, and I was not super happy with the software I was using. And I ran into Paul Tremblay, who at the time was the affiliate manager for Canada, and I was asking him, who he was using a different software as well. I was like, is there any other softwares out there that you would recommend? Because I'm not super happy with the one I'm currently using. And he's like, yeah, these new guys have just hit the floor. They're called PushPress. You should check them out. So got home from Madison after watching my brother compete and got a demo with PushPress. They were super small at the time. They fit exactly the needs that I wanted. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's make the switch over. It's super early on stages of our gym. So it was easy for me to make the switch. And I think nowadays it's even easier to make the switch, but it made sense for us. And then a couple months later, at the time I was working as an account executive for a company called ADP, which is a payroll provider. And they were hiring, PushPress was hiring for account executives. And I was just like, yeah, I'll throw in my resume, because I'd love to do something in synergy with something that I love to do, which is the fitness world, and being able to kind of take that software approach to it as well. So made my application. A couple months later, they're like, hey, you got the job. And I was like, oh, all right.
No interview?
I did have an interview.
Okay.
I had an interview, and they didn't call me or text me back for like 2 months. And I followed up with them again. And I was like, this is probably dead in the water. You know, it's an American company. I'm used to working for Canadian companies. And I did one last time. I was like, John at the time, I was like, John, just be straight up with me. Do I got the job or not? And he's like, we're meeting this weekend. I'll let you know. And I'll let you know on Monday. Monday comes around. He's like, yeah, you got the job. When can you start? And I'm like, I don't know, a couple weeks. And he's like, all right, you're the first Canadian employee that we're hiring, so we don't really know how to do this, but we'll figure it out. And I'm like, all right, perfect. Let's do it. Let's roll with the punches. So
Cool.
At the time, it was a little bit of a salary cut on my side of things, but I was like, I rather the opportunity and the growth opportunity that this brings, and the industry that it brings as well. Right, that was super important for me. Because at the time, I was selling payroll to small businesses around Canada, which is which is cool to do in a small business world. But at a certain point, you want to kind of align with your passion. So, and it worked in synergy perfectly with what I was doing with the gym, which was just kind of taking off the ground at that point. Um, PushPress has since grown quite a bit since that year in 2020. I think that was 2021 where we went over, or yeah, that makes sense. About 4 years ago, so when we made the switch. Since then, the platform has obviously improved quite a bit, and the company has grown, and it's brought me to, we do sales trips in Arizona, waste management. That was probably my favorite one. We got to go to the Waste Management Open down in Scottsdale, Arizona.
What hole's the party hole? Is it hole 17 or?
That is hole 16, the famous
16.
hole 16. Okay. Yeah. And we actually got to see Nick Taylor, who is a Canadian PGA Tour player, who I later found out, one of my members at the gyms, that the caddy of Nick Taylor, brother is, or sister, it goes to my gym now. So I'm like, I was starstruck when I found that out. But he came back and forced a playoff hole. They did 2 playoff holes. And if you don't know anything about the Waste Management Open, it's the same weekend as the Super Bowl. Yeah. So that Sunday, all the Americans are leaving, and you stay on at the golf course. It's all a bunch of Canadians, and having Nick Taylor there, go through 2 playoff holes and winning it was just unbelievable. And then we went back to Airbnb and watched the Kansas City Chiefs beat the 49ers. So that was a pretty electric weekend, to be honest. And in PushPress, that was kind of a gathering of our team we got to do at the time. So yeah, we have a very tight knit team, and I'm super grateful to be a part of it, and also still running the gym at the same time.
That's very cool. So yeah, so you have your gym in Chelsea, but as you mentioned, like your brother, so you have your L1. I saw your brother has his L3, and he's a games athlete. So rooted in there, do you remember your first CrossFit workout? And then is your training more biased to CrossFit, or do you allow yourself a little leeway to do some bro stuff and mix it up?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're all very fortunate. I mean, I was very fortunate to go through university at Bishop's University, and we were I was doing entrepreneurship as a bachelor, and I was learning about creating business plans. And throughout the business plan, it was always the idea of, becoming a CrossFit affiliate, because we were in CrossFit affiliates. I started when I took a job out in BC at a small CrossFit gym called Dog's Den Fitness, which recently closed down, but they were just outside of Langley. That was my first CrossFit workout. I was living out of a van out of the time, so having the ability to to go to this CrossFit gym and go to the showers, I was like, this is amazing. There's a nice community. I didn't know a lot of people at the time, so yeah, so much respect for that. And actually, funny story, and I'd love to share this story, is I walked into this CrossFit gym living out of a van, and I think some of the members kind of caught on that I was living out of this van. So two brothers who were building saunas at the time had a sauna workshop with an apartment in their workshop. And they're like, dude, we heard you're living out of a van. Like, do you want to just live in the apartment for free? I'm like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Like, what an upgrade. And I'm like, this is CrossFit, right? Like, this is the community that I kind of was thriving for and kind of looking and searching for. So did CrossFit there. My brother was doing CrossFit at NCR. He went to the games with 1855 at the time. I moved away for school to Barcelona and really adapted CrossFit over there. And if you've ever been to Barcelona or in Europe, but there is CrossFit gyms on every corner of the street. The owner, I went a couple of years ago to see him again, and he's like, there are so many CrossFit gyms right now in Barcelona that the city's like, hey, no more CrossFit gyms. We're not allowing any more zoning for CrossFit gyms. He's like, even the least successful CrossFit gyms are profitable right now. It's insane. So I was doing CrossFit over there. Great community, great way to learn and meet new people. But the language is, I don't speak a lick of Spanish. So
Yeah. Mhm.
they're like explaining the workout, and all of a sudden you're like, da, 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 it's clean jerk. No, 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 no. And they speak very fast with a lisp,
Yeah.
and it's like the Catalan language is super hard to understand. So everybody would get their weights. I'm standing there. The coach has to come up to me after and be like, so they were doing this. I could translate it for me
Because it's in
afterwards.
it would be in kilograms on the board too, right?
It's in kilograms. They're
Yeah.
speaking Catalan, but you could pick up on a couple of words, right? Like you could see the board and it says like wall balls, but like when they're initiating the warm ups and talking about how to attack this workout, you're completely in the blind, right? Like I'm just standing there like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing, but a lot of the times you're just figuring out, looking at what everybody else is doing, and in those heavy populated cities, there's no dropping weights, right? Like you got to learn that. And so I think the first weight I dropped like an overhead snatch, and the coach comes over to me, he's like, "Don't do that." And I'm like, "Okay, I know now." So yeah, spent a lot of time. That was kind of like the growth stages of me in the CrossFit world of adapting, and just kind of traveling around Europe and during the time I was also in school, so it got a great opportunity for me to travel around and understand like how people are running their gyms, and I would take like pros and cons and what I like, what I dislike of all these different gyms in these different countries that I was going to, while I was still in school, doing exchange over in Barcelona. So that was great. Built a business report, business plan, and then I revised that business plan again, I think 3 times. And ironically, we actually found that business plan that we originally made recently, and a lot of the things still align, but some of the things have changed and adapted since then. So
Mhm.
I'm very grateful to have put together a business plan and kind of set my plans for what I expected to happen, what I'm predicting to happen, and the vision of what we wanted to create. So
That's cool. And so talk me through, how does the family dynamic, not in terms of getting along, but how do you guys manage? Because I think like, once again, regardless of affiliation or not, it's understanding that businesses are businesses are
mhm,
businesses.
mhm,
Doesn't matter if you own a bakery or a gym.
mhm.
Having partners is really tough. Having 3 partners is exponentially tougher, and having them all be in the family is, I mean, so you clearly figured, maybe it was the business plan. I don't know, but anyway, you know. So talk me through who does what first.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we often get asked that every time I mention, hey, I run my gym with my brother and my sister. It's always like, whoa, how do you do that? Like, I can't even imagine. I think it's super important to realize and to know when to turn off and turn on business talk, right? I
Mm,
come from a family. Both my parents are entrepreneurs. My dad actually ran his business with his brother his whole life. So learning from him and how he dealt with that was super important. My mom also had business partners as well. So it's important to be able to just turn off business and talk about family when you need to, and like be there for each other when you need to be there for each other. Understanding that within the business we have to, especially with your siblings, like you can't just tell them to go kick rocks. Like you need to understand their feelings and be able to adapt that way. And I got to admit, sometimes we're not always the best at that. So we do clash quite a bit, but just
mm,
understanding the roles is super important, and valuing each other is super important as well. So to break down our different positions here, my brother and I take a little bit less responsibility as my sister does. So she's actually the face of the business.
okay.
This is her full-time gig. Which brings me back to that business plan that we created originally. When we created this business plan, it was me and my brother, and my
Mm,
sister was going to university and she graduated. And we're like, I still remember the first class that she coached. She was super nervous about it, and she did great. But now she's coaching most of the classes. She's running the business. She's doing an excellent job. She's creating partnerships with Lululemon and all these different companies. But she's really taken off that other side of the business, where it's the yoga Pilates side of things, which is bringing in a lot of revenue for us and a lot of new members. Um, But myself, I take care of most of the finance, the accounting side of things, and also just the software and making sure that the automations are set up on the PushPress side of things, making sure the billing is taken care of, making sure that everything in the ecosystem of our systems are working together. That's more of where I play a role. My brother is the building manager. So he takes care of equipment, ordering new equipment, making sure the equipment's working. He takes care of making sure that the road is being taken care of. Our driveway, which is like a steep hill, because we're kind of in this foresty area, making sure that the gravel road is taken care of. Snow is the plow has gone through, but he also does a huge role in terms of coaching, but also um, training our coaches as well is super important. And then the other side of things is going to be he takes care of all the programming as well. So he does do all the programming on that side. So I would say, like I said earlier, my sister takes care of most of the day-to-day stuff. We're him and I are both employed elsewhere. So we take that more as like a part-time gig.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so for those listening or watching, like I would say, look up Chelsea Athletica and the website, because you guys, was that building already existed or did you guys build that? Because it's like, you know how like barn dominiums are now the rage, like that's what it looks like to me. It's like it has well, I guess almost like Frowning's barn in Cookville, right? Something
Yeah.
like that. But so yeah, talk me through the design and aesthetics of the gym.
Yeah. Or Jacob Hepner's barn in Kansas City. Like I think when
Okay.
people are
Yeah.
looking up, like they see our gym, they're like, oh, this reminds me of that gym over there as well. Um, yeah, so just to back things up a little bit, we started our business midst of COVID. Like that was the opening date. Like we're 2019 was the year we started our business. It was like, hey, great time to start a business,
Yeah.
especially
Right.
a workout business like a gym. But it was kind of perfect. We kind of adapted in a sense where we were doing outdoor group workouts, which was still allowed at the time. We loaded all the dumbbells that we had at the time. We just bought some dumbbells, loaded in the back of my Subaru, which took an absolute beating on the suspension. We loaded out the parks and we created a small community of outdoor group workouts. We do it twice in the morning and we just gathered up these members. And some of those members who are coming to those outdoor group workouts are still with us today. Right.
That's cool. Yeah.
So it got us to build a decent amount of a small base of members and income. And we just put all that income into buying a bunch of C2 machines and barbells. And then we moved into my brother's 2-car garage at the time. We were running 3 classes a day, 2 classes in the morning, 1 class in the evening, maximum capacity of 6 people. Very intimate, very like hands-on coaching. But that also allowed us to grow a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. We also got the money together to eventually invest into a building. We were lucky to inherit some piece of land in Chelsea, which is a pretty rural area, but we had a piece of land there. We got it designed in exactly the way we wanted, the exact specs we wanted to look like. Originally, the idea was going for a pointed roof, but we're like, we need more clearance for rope climbs, wall balls, and just that general look and feel. Because Chelsea originally, when we were growing up, there was farm fields, right, and there's barns around there, which
Mm-hmm.
recently got developed. But we kind of wanted to take that back to the roots of that kind of barn feel. So designing this, luckily my dad is an engineer, so he kind of put together the drawings for it. We got it all kind of figured out, so it was kind of a full family decision on how we were going to create this. Definitely some back and forth, like, hey, should we do this? Should we put in heated floors, radiant floor heating? Like, will that shake up the building too much? Like, what if we drill in the rig? Like, that's going to puncture one of these pipes that are going through.
Yeah.
So a lot of back and forth. At the end of the day, we really had to trust the engineer who was building the building. But yeah, so it is a 3,000 square foot. So it's 30 feet by 100 feet. We have a mezzanine over top of the lobby area.
Cool.
We have 2 showers, 3 bathrooms, a sauna, and a cold plunge out back. So, yeah.
Cool. And just that, and then just very aesthetically pleasing with the black and kind of natural wood design. And
Hmm.
you know,
Yep.
I'm always jealous of pretty gyms. You know, I try to be somewhere in the middle. We're not like a pretty gym, but we're not, we focus on cleaning it at least.
Yeah.
You know, but like I respect a lot of gyms with the aesthetic, because you regardless of what your business is, it's like the aesthetic is part of your brand.
Exactly. No, I think that's spot on. That's probably what I would say next is like it's so part of your brand and the ability to deliver this good feeling when somebody comes in here, or even the ability for somebody to just post a photo of your gym on the
Right.
outside as like, hey, this is where I'm at, and everybody knows it. You don't need signage, you know. Um, and we're also in a very particular area too. Like we're both French and English, so we were very specific on what we had to call the gym and avoid putting any signage because or else we'd have to do it both French and English. We just kind of
Mhm.
picked a general name. I think Athletica is a Latin word. So we're able to get away with that, but there's no signage on the outside. It's kind of like, hey, you know where you're at when you're there. You know what I mean? Another key thing that worked really well for us is that we partnered up. One of our members owned a landscaping company, and
Okay.
we asked him, we're like, "Hey, you want to do the whole backyard?" He looked at the backyard. He's like, "I have so much potential I could put in here." And we're like, "This could be your showroom." So we developed this partnership with him where he
Yeah.
basically built out our backyard um, at cost, but got 6 or 7 different clients from the gym just walking in there and be like, "I want this at my house." Right.
Right.
So developing these partnerships within your community where they're just like, hey, we'll give you this at cost, but this is going to lead us to more business later on. Right. So
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
How much do you now, to kind of jump back? So you get to travel to the different affiliate gatherings and
yeah,
summits. You already
yeah.
said when you were traveling Europe, you dropped into different gyms and started to take mental notes. How much are you still taking mental notes as you go to these summits?
All the time. I think the value of these summits are super important. I think Carrie Ann leading the way right now in terms of putting these together. I think there's so much value there. Um, just sitting in and listening to this from a push press side of things, but also delivering value to these
Mm.
affiliates from push press and the data that we've collected, and what are the good gyms doing? How do you how do you run a successful affiliate is super important. But I think just general face to face accountability with these different affiliates,
Right.
and also taking mental notes for my own gym push press side of things. It's super important. I would encourage any affiliate to show up to these affiliate events and these affiliate gatherings because there's just so much value there. You just leave with so many good ideas, and inevitably you're going to upgrade your gym coming home from one of those.
Hmm. Well, that's kind of like what I'm hearing. Like, you know, it's whether you're just naturally a social guy or an extrovert, like connection, connection and leveraging those connections has seemed to be a kind of common theme that leverages through.
I'm just like, what's going
Okay, so we were talking connection. So yeah, how because um and this all maybe can tie everything. Connection we can use as a common theme to tie things together
on?
is like entrepreneurship, as we talked about, can be very isolating. And we get stuck in our little islands, and it's like almost too busy to go to these things that will hopefully inspire us to be less busy so that we can continue to go to these things. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
how has that been important for you? Even like I said, even just getting a free living accommodations in BC through your connections.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's all about the partnerships that you create. I think as an entrepreneur, especially a gym owner, there's so much opportunity to partner up with coffee shops and run clubs in your area just to create that ecosystem and talk to other gym owners or talk to other business owners, more importantly, and getting their perspective on what's working, what's not working, and especially going to these affiliate events as well. Like you also get that kind of that ecosystem of good ideas, right?
Mhm.
But it's getting outside of your box and realizing what am I doing that's taking up too much of my time that's not producing me money? Like, what can I outsource, and I'll pay somebody $20, and I'll, during that hour I'm paying somebody $20, I'll go make 60,
Right.
and having that kind of mentality, right? And I think it comes back to that VA services that we were talking about when we are down in Banff. Is like, hey, what can I offsource to these people,
Mhm.
and take that time that I was doing for all those manual steps and triple my income, right? And that's the kind of idea that's super important. I think that entrepreneurship, that's where it comes down to, is deciding what to offload on other people and what to delegate to other people within your ecosystem, um, and take that time to be able to produce more and build partnerships and just grow the business altogether. So
Well, and align too with a little bit more synergy as you've done. Like it's not uncommon for someone who has a full-time job to own a gym
mhm,
or to start a business, but then make more of, I would say, a lateral move into a different income stream to support their life. But you've been able to build on top of the your gym with
mhm.
your career with push press.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, Matt, is I wouldn't be at PushPress if it wasn't for my gym, right? The gym opened up the doors to PushPress. Like, I knew I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to eventually open up a gym. That was my end goal. But that opened up the doors to more things. You're now in a network of opportunities because you are an entrepreneur. Like, you just have to open up those doors at the end of the day and see what's out there. You got to look at all the companies that you're working with in your ecosystem and be like, would I like to work for any of these companies if I wanted to branch off from just working at the CrossFit gym or working
Mhm.
as your own owner, and just kind of seeing your ecosystem of the different companies that you're working with. And there's opportunity there because at the end of the day, these companies that you're working with understand that you understand their product, right? And if they want anybody working for them, it's somebody who understands their product, is able to sell their product, be able to support people on their product. So I think that's super important. And these companies are constantly looking for that entrepreneurial brain to come in and give better ideas and be able to connect with other affiliate owners or other gym owners in their space. So yeah.
Well, and I got to think that, like I said, like the two now work. It's not like by, and even as we record this, you had said you're living in Montreal part time, but the gym's in Chelsea.
Hmm.
You're not fully disconnected because the synergy that Push Press and Chelsea Athletica come together. Because one thing that's really cool about Push Press, and it starts at the summits, is the talks that are given at these summits that Push Press gives, honestly, like provide tremendous value. I've
Hmm.
whether it was the Committed Club talk in Toronto or the Loves Flywheel that was talked this most recently, but even I got to hear Dan speak in Boston
Hmm.
2 Octobers ago. So Push Press as a company, it seems like, is always just internally throwing ideas around about how do we make this ecosystem better,
Hmm.
and the success will follow that.
100%. Well, that's our main value, right? Is supporting the gym owner first, and everything else will come after that. Um, it feels good to be part of a company who thinks that way as well. To be honest, we've always taken that customer first approach, and we realize that everything else is going to cascade after that. I think what's very valuable is that most of these people at these affiliate gatherings, like, they see push press coming up to speak, they think it's going to be like a sales pitch, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, we have the data of all these gyms that are doing well, what's working, what's not working. We talk with gym owners all day. I talked with probably 4 or 5 gym owners over the course of a day. So I realized what gyms are successful, why are they successful, what's going on with these gyms, what's the trends that we're seeing in the market. So we have a stronghold in that, and I feel like we're also we're also there to support gyms as well. At the end of the day, like, we're not just
Mm.
looking to make a buck. I think at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we're there to support you just as much as you're there to support us, and we're creating this partnership with those gyms. That's super important.
I can't remember if I've told you this story, but I'm going to tell it anyway over the podcast. But to that point, I'd like to speak about that was the 2022 games. I, at that point, had just made the switch to PushPress. I think I'd been with PushPress for a few months at that point. And I scoured the vendor village for the PushPress booth all weekend. And you guys didn't have one. You had a suite, but you didn't in the Coliseum, but you didn't have a booth. And then it was like the last day I was going out to get something from the car, and I just see kind of 4 people in shirts, in PushPress shirts. I'm like, hey, all of you, stop. I have something I need you to do. And they all stopped. They're like, what is it? One guy like literally pulled out a notebook and started taking it. But like one of the guys was Nick, who I believe Nick's like the CFO or top
CRO,
yeah. And like he's there, like, okay, like, yeah, what do you need? Like, I'm like, I need this, I need a button that says this, and I need you guys to do this. And they're like, okay, yep, sure. And not even like not disingenuously, like very much like, okay, sure, yeah.
Well, the important thing to know there too, Matt, is that we connect with and we understand where you're coming from, right? Like some of the ideas that we come up with in like the committed club or purchasing plans from the QR codes from a kiosk, that's all trial and error from gym owners that are on the gym floor. Like we realize like what is taking up most of your coach's time, what is taking up most of your owner's time. How can we fix this? Right.
Yeah.
We are not at the end of the day going to go out and build features. And it's hard for me to say, I'm not on the product team. I'm not the one making decisions on this, but we're not just going to go build features just because one person asked and all of a sudden your system is all confusing, right? We want to understand what the pain points are of gym owners. How can we improve this? One of the main things we're in Vegas. We're all dropping into a CrossFit gym and working for a company like PushPress. It's like, you're not meeting at a restaurant or a bar. Like, hey, we're going to do a workout at a CrossFit gym for these company gatherings. And we dropped into this gym and we're all trying to sign up and we're realizing like, this was a PushPress gym. We're like, we got to make this system better. If there's 4 people who come and drop in at once, how do we make this system better? How do we make it more easy for the coach? How do we make it more easy for the person signing up? And that kind of spurred our ideas. Like we got to find a system. QR codes was kind of the best solution instead of us filling it out on an iPad. I usually say that iPad has no idea who you are. I'm sure anybody has ever dropped into a gym and start filling out their information on iPad. It's the most painful thing ever.
Yeah.
Rather than just scanning a QR code and filling out that information on your own. Right. So I think it's us being in the trenches and understanding gym owners' pain points and also experiencing that ourselves is where we've kind of directed the features that we're building and improving it. So some exciting stuff coming out of PushPress, especially this year. So
let's talk about those now. Garrett.
No,
but and you're right. Like in these conversations, like it's never a sales pitch about why PushPress. It's just like, hey, we've collected all this data from our clients and we're showing you the best practices that gyms do. And it's like, it's always, the beauty of the affiliate model and entrepreneurs is we don't have to do things the way that you're supposed to, but you can do them the way that works, right? Don't let being independent get in your way of making your life easier, because making your life easier is what leads to more independence. So what would you say are some, let's not go most or biggest, but what are some common obstacles that you hear from affiliate owners?
That's a good question. Common obstacles in terms of what they're
like in regards to like business operations that like some, you say like pain points, like what are some pain points that someone might identify with?
I think most of the times it's just these gym owners feeling like they have so much going on during the day. They're coaching 3 classes a day. They're not having an opportunity to follow up with leads. They're still doing that pen and paper for the Fit Aid fridge and
Yeah.
tallying up what they're doing there. Um, they're having troubles with hiring the right coaches and employing these right coaches on a full-time basis. That's what I would say the main pain points from these gym owners are coming from, or the main struggles or obstacles that they're dealing with. Um, a lot of gym owners right now as well are dealing with the finding the right space. I think the real estate market for these gyms that we envision as the CrossFit gyms are changing, and they're becoming, the rent increase in pricing is becoming a little bit out of hand just because of
Mhm.
the way it works now. So that's often a struggle. So a lot of times it's like, hey, my rent increased. I got to move locations. I'm not ready yet to get started. Like I haven't found a perfect location for me yet. So that's often a struggle for gyms who are just starting out. But I think the gyms they're established, it's more that other side of like, you're spending too much time doing things that could be automated or hiring somebody else to do. So that's the primary obstacles that we're running up against.
Yeah, and then so PushPress is software as a service.
Hmm.
Can you talk us through what that actually means? Because I think it ties into the ecosystem of making people's lives easier.
Yeah. So I always like to say PushPress will automate the processes that you're doing manually right now
Yeah.
that you shouldn't be doing, or it's doing the things that you should be doing. You just don't do it, or you don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
Right. That's that's what I tell gym owners all the time is like, you're either doing this and spending way too much time on it, or you should be doing it, but you're not doing it. Right. It's just
Or
because
you
you don't
don't
have
do
the
it
time.
because you spend too much time on the other things and you think I can't do something more, right? That's kind of like flywheel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you could just offload um, what you're envisioning and what you're currently working on and spending so much time doing into a software, it's important. And the other thing to note is that for some of these affiliate owners, PushPress may not be the right fit. There's other gym management softwares out there. I think what's super important is deciding what you need to, deciding how you want to run your gym and finding the right software to partner with. And deciding that the not only the features that they're releasing, but the vision and the trajectory that this software is taking aligns with your gym, right? Making
Mhm.
sure that their core values align with your gym, because at the end of the day, if both your core values kind of align, you guys are going to grow together, and they're going to be able to listen to you, and any feature request that you make is also going to align with what they're going towards, what they're striving towards. So that's
Mhm.
what I find is super important. Is, like I said earlier, PushPress may not be perfect for every gym because some gyms run entirely differently, and we're totally okay with
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I hope I answered your question there, but
Yeah, like I mean automation and it is worth noting exactly like finding so I had a different service. I've gone through 3 different services and I took over my affiliate in September of 2019. So
Mhm,
in 5 years to change management systems twice,
mhm,
like it doesn't have to be such a big burden that we want to make it out to be, but one of the systems like provide, I mean, is I love giving unsolicited feedback about a product because I
yeah,
love trying to break the product in a good way.
mhm.
Like, let's test this thing's limits. And, bless Connor's heart, he's not even my rep, but man, he sits there and nods and is always very interested.
Yeah,
But compared to the previous system I used, when I would try to offer feedback or um, offer suggestions, it could tell it was just met with kind of deaf ears.
yeah,
So that
yeah,
first interaction I had at the games, I'm like, okay, like this, I know we've made the right choice. And actually, the cool part about that was I didn't even make the choice to switch to PushPress. I gave it
mhm,
to my general manager, Becky.
yeah,
She set up a demo, and I said, if you like it, you can switch.
Well, I think it's also key to note too is that mostly gym owners, it's not necessarily what's going to, it is in some part, it is what's going to benefit them. But I think at the end of the day, what they care the most about is if their clients are going to like it.
Right.
Right. So I always say, can I swear on this podcast? Or
Sure.
okay. So, you know this term, the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
I relate that to the fear of fucking up. Like any
Yeah.
business, it could be myself working for PushPress. It could be a gym owner. You have the fear of fucking up because if you fuck up and you implement this system that nobody likes, the coaches don't like it, the gym members are coming back to you. In a corporate world, your job's on the line. But on
Yeah.
a gym owner world, you're have the potential for all these clients to churn at that point, right? Or to cancel their memberships because they could go down the street and this gym that's running the CrossFit box that's running down the street has these better features. They have a better tech stack. It's easier for them to log results. There's a better community there. So that is the mentality that you have to confirm with people is like, hey, your members are going to like this. It's going to save your coaches time. Your coaches are going to like it. And at the end of the day, you're going to reap the benefits of this. Right.
Mhm.
So it's just allowing people to understand that it comes from the members. Their members are going to sing the praises to them that they've made this switch over to a new software. And I think that's the biggest part of exploring different softwares. Hey, are my members going to like this? Is it going to save me time for my coaches? And is it going to ultimately save me time and money? Right. So that's important to know.
Well, exactly. Like, so then at that point, you have to be real about what am I trying to do and how, and I guess maybe like being like, I need my life to be easier as a gym owner. Because understanding, like, there's some platforms that you have to manage all your membership on one and then all your workouts in another.
Mm-hmm.
PushPress, you can do it in the same one, but also you can also do that in Wodify as well.
Yeah.
And so realizing there are platforms that can handle the two things at once. And it's like, oh, but they like to keep all their data. Joey's been on Beyond the Whiteboard for 22 years. It's like, well, Joey can stay on Beyond the Whiteboard. And I have members who still have their Beyond the Whiteboard subscriptions, but with new members and I have an increased efficacy of people logging their scores because it's in the same platform that way.
Yeah. Well, you got to think of this from a business standpoint too. Like if you go and book a flight with Air Canada, they're not telling you to download the flights.com app, which is completely different than what you're doing, right? Like, so PushPress allows you to have this workout tracking, the gym management software, the scheduling, and you could actually brand your app at the end of the day too. So it could be from a member's point of view, you guys have came out with your own system, which is super nice. But yeah, that's often an objection that we get from different gym owners is like, well, Joey's going to lose all of his workout data. But I tell him most of the time, like, listen, Joey was hitting a back squat PR 20 years ago that he's not hitting today. So when he's going in to count his percentages, he doesn't even use that percentage calculator anymore, right? Like,
Right.
let's get his accurate PRs in the right places. I think it's also important to know, like, yeah, I'd like to know how I progress through Murph throughout the years. I would like to know how I progress through Fran throughout the years. That's super important. That can be important, but I think the common fear is like, hey, my members are going to lose all their data, but yeah, you still have your logbook elsewhere, right? People still have their logbook and their notes of their phone or on a piece of paper at home, or maybe on a poster at home too. I don't know how much they're into writing their PRs on.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I always say it's like moving to if you are going to switch, it's like moving to a new house, right? You get to clean house, you get to get rid of all the stuff that you don't want to have in there, and it's just like, hey, I'm in this new house, I get to decide exactly the way I want to have it work. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's worth for me to say, like, yeah, and like I am a PushPress client, so obviously I'm passionate about, and I always appreciate getting to interact with you guys, but it's not about switching to PushPress. It's about being willing to make some sort of switch or some sort of change and not let the fear of fucking up, as you said, hold you back in your business.
Yeah. Well, it's also important to know, like, as an entrepreneur, is that you could, and this brings it back to earlier, you could meet with partners, and it's important to meet with partners, but also understanding that not every partnership is meant to be. Like, you
Right.
have to have the backbone to just be like, this doesn't make sense for my gym, doesn't make sense for me. Am I doing this because it benefits the partner that you're dealing with, or is it benefit? Is it mutual benefits, right?
Mhm.
So you have to understand that it's important to do exploration and seeing what else is out there. And if anything, it at least confirms that you're on the right platform, or you need to maybe explore different options. So, um, yeah. I hope that answered your question, but it's kind of like understanding that partnerships may not always be the right fit, but
Right.
if you do that exploration at the end of the day and see what's on the market at the time, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, like, and even Chris Cooper calls it like the pebble in the shoe. Like
Yeah,
when you're you're walking along, you have this pebble in your shoe. It's never a big problem, but as the miles add up and the miles add up, that little pebble becomes a big problem, and eventually it could be a massive problem if not treated accordingly. When it realizing it just stops for a second, take the damn pebble out. And that could be a troublesome member. It could be not getting a streamlined payments integration, like any of
yeah,
those things. Why does
yeah.
that you've had a big smile? How does that resonate with you?
Well, I'm just thinking, like, if I had a pebble in my shoe during Murph, I'd be like, do I take it out or do I go through it? At the end of the
Right.
day, if my time is not better than last year, I'm blaming it on that pebble, right? So, um, but I get exactly what you mean. Like, it's just these small things that like make the change. Like, if something bogging you down, it's taking too much time, like just get out and explore options. There's so many different, especially with AI coming out nowadays,
Yeah.
there's so many different opportunities to level up your business. And I don't think that CrossFit gyms or any gyms should be limited by this as well, right? Like, explore what else, how to make your systems better, right? And how can you, because you could either hire somebody or you could replace it with some system that could save you time. And at the end of the day, quite honestly, a lot of systems are quite a bit cheaper than hiring somebody full time or part time employee. But we're getting just a general good system in place to be able to help you with that.
Well, and you can spend more time doing the things you love as well. Like if you love coaching,
Yeah.
then you need to build your system around you being able to coach, whether and that could be automations or things like that. And it's not that automations lack, say, a personal touch, but it's still at least better than no touch at all
Yeah.
or a huge lag time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, like, you're going to find some things that you like to do. You like working out. Don't stop working out. Like, you like
Yeah.
walking your dog and just taking that time to reflect. You don't even have to hire a dog walker because you could make $60 during that $20 that you're hiring that dog walker. Like, keep doing the things that you love to do because that's going to keep you happy and clear minded to make the right decisions at the end of the day, right?
Hmm. So what are you excited about the future? Not specifically without giving too much, but no, just again knowing that PushPress is a huge is does very much try to passionately be involved in the community.
Hmm.
The CrossFit games are coming up, just and
Hmm.
but then there's also, and we saw it in Banff, there's still some like uncertainty around like what CrossFit is happening with a sale or no sale or regardless. And everyone's like, well, what's HQ going to tell me what to do or what's the direction?
Hmm.
But I feel like not enough affiliate owners maybe are focusing on the fact that there's so many stakeholders outside of the nucleus
Hmm.
that want to see us all succeed that maybe all those things are non-factors. So what excites you about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Without giving away too much from push presses side of things, I think at the end of the day, and when we met in Banff, I think what really resonated with me is that CrossFit's going to do what they're going to do, right? I think what you have to do at the end of the day is look around you, find people that you create your own network with. Like, I think that's the basis of CrossFit is you coming together with whether it's a community within your gym, finding somebody within your gym to rent you a place to sleep at night or a sauna, or whether it's, finding people within your community and holding yourself accountable to those people at the CrossFit affiliate summits. Regardless of what CrossFit does, at least you have each other to lean on, right? And I think that's super important. And you got to give kudos to CrossFit for bringing you together, whatever direction that they end up taking. Having this community and this network of people that you could go forward with, so that you could control what you could control, because what CrossFit does is out of your control at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But companies like PushPress will continuously support the gyms that are running on PushPress. You'll always have your community and accountability within the people who are using PushPress as well. So regardless of what happens with CrossFit, you always have a partner with your software company or your ecosystem around you and your network around you. So
That's right. You gotta have the ability to be able to get away for a weekend so that you can leverage and come back refreshed. And at the very least, Carrie Ann puts so much into these events that you would never not get your value from that, and that's what she's here for.
That's a good time too. I mean, at the end of the day, like, you're going there as a business trip, and you get to go to places like Banff and Montreal and Toronto, and just bring a couple coaches around, make them feel like they're part of the ownership group, and make them feel that they're part of this as you're growing your business. And I think there's so much value that they could get, and being in front of people like Daniel Chaffee this weekend, like, that was so much value. Michelle Letendre, who was essentially giving you like this crash course on how to help your coaches level up, was huge. Like, some people will pay thousands and thousands of dollars to have those talks, and like, you get to do that in Banff or in Toronto or in Montreal, and you could go to for hikes and go for lunch with different gym owners. It's these opportunities, I think they're underutilized, and having the privilege to send PushPress there to support and be there to some of these affiliate gatherings I think it gives so much value.
Well, and someone walked away with a free TV.
Yeah, you want to tell that story? We had a miscommunication about who's bringing. We had a miscommunication about who's bringing the projector to the event, and we're in Banff, right? So there's not a massive Best Buy. We went to like a small little Best Buy. Walk in there, like, "Do you guys have a projector?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Ah, what's the biggest TV you have that would replace a projector?" We pull up with this TV. We just place it in the front of it. It was great. I think it was awesome. And then we gave it away at the end of the weekend to CrossFit Dawson Creeks, who should be displaying their workouts up on a TV screen now, the push press workouts. So that was awesome. I was just talking to Anna a couple of days ago, so it's super sweet.
You never know what you might win, so don't fear screwing up, fear missing out. And on that
exactly.
On that note, 3, 2, 1, time.